Hello everyone, my name is Lamarana. Welcome to the Halat Africa show. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and click on the notification button. Today I am very excited to continue with you on part 2 of investment opportunities in the Gambia. So today we are going to talk about the ICT sector, which is information and communication technologies. And I feel that for any country to develop quickly, this sector is a must-have, and it is a must-develop. It's a sector that you have to develop in order for any particular country to move forward. And today, I did write down some stuff just to make sure I'm giving you the right information. And from time to time, I'll be consulting my notes. First, what I did is to do a feasibility studies for some of our potential investors in this area. And by that I mean you look at some of your investment proposals, and you look at whether there is the market is available for this particular product or services that you want to bring into the Gambia as an investor. You also look at some of the pros and cons. You look at the long term, and then you look at the short term and the long term benefits of the business, including some of the challenges as well. And looking at the Gambia during taking the feasibility studies, I found out that the market is there. When you look at the population itself, the Gambia is 2.4 million people, and the people who have access to ICT is just 18% of the population. So you find out that a lot of people are marginalized, who are there without access to this very important sector itself, which is the ICT. People also who access Facebook is about 15.3% of the entire population. Although we have a lot of people who use cell phones, but you find out that not everyone who uses cell phone is using smartphones. So without having a smartphone, you won't have access to services like the internet and so forth. So the two main key players in this sector in the Gambia, number one is the government, and number two is the private sector. For that of the government, the ICT sector is under the Ministry of Information and Technology and Infrastructure. So you find out that what the government does, they are there to formulate policies, plans and strategies for investors to be able to come in. Basically, the government serves as a regulator in that industry, and then to make sure that the conducive environment is there for potential investors to come in and then invest. And that of the private sector, we have about 3 key players, and these are cell phone companies. Number one is the Africell company, which has over 60% of the consumer market when it comes to telecommunications and services like that. Then followed by Gamtel. And Gamtel itself is a government-owned enterprise, and Gamcell is a public-private partnership. You have a government having some shares, and then that of the private sector. And we also have Comium. It is also a cell phone service provider in the Gambia. And then we have QCell, and this is, I believe, the only Gambian-owned mobile service operator in the Gambia, and that of the one owned by the government. But the other 2 are all foreign-owned. And I think for Africell is operating in about 5 different countries in Africa. And yes, so aside from giving you the names of some of these major operators in the country, there are other potential areas if you are an ICT operator, and we will look at some of those opportunities. and one of them is to be an internet service provider, and two, perhaps, we will talk about the conventional media. But I think the internet service itself is a must-have area. I don't think any country in this 21st century can develop without having a very, very good ICT sector. And the Gambia is lacking behind when it comes to ICT facilities. For instance, I've mentioned earlier that it's only 18.3% of the population that has access to internet or internet-related services. And you find out that if you look at the population of the Gambia, we are 2.4 million people. So there is a wide range of people who are left out without having access to internet services. And internet services are basic human right, I believe, in this 21st century, that every citizen in every country should have access to, because internet itself affects almost every aspect of our life. There is nothing that you can do today that is not affected by internet. And we will delve into some of those key areas that I think access to internet will help, facilitate those services in the country. But before doing that, first, I just want to give you some of the major players in the internet industry in the Gambia. We have, when it comes to the internet broadband service, we have all the 4 cellular companies do provide internet service to their customers. If you have a smartphone, you can buy credit and then have access to internet. And what happens in the Gambia, we have 2 types of system. We have the prepaid system, and then we have the postpaid system. It is unlike in the United States, wherein you have a monthly fee. If you are a customer to T-Mobile or Verizon, you have a monthly bill that you pay, and then you have access to internet and the internet-related services for a whole month. In the Gambia, for the most part, 90% of all mobile service operators, what you do is you pay as you go. If you want to call somebody, you have to buy credit, load it on your phone, and then be able to make call. You can receive call, but you cannot make calls if you don't have credit on your phone. And I found out that it is somehow a very controversial area, in the sense that many people do have phones, but they cannot access the internet because they don't have the money to buy the credit which is required. I think what the government could do is to consult all the mobile operators in the Gambia to have a system wherein every Gambian should have access to using your phone. Let's have a monthly bill, a monthly subscription, wherein it's going to be reasonable for our people to access this very crucial access, which is internet. Also, we have a VSAT satellite broadband. We have the NSS. We have the SES4, and then we also have iNet broadband, which I think is Gambian based. And usually, what these broadband providers do is to provide services to small and large businesses, to institutions and agencies within the country. And we have also C-band packages and Q-band. I think also in this particular area, QCell or Quantum Net itself is doing a very, very good job, because it is the first Gambian-owned internet service provider. I think they've started somewhere in the mid-90s or early 90s, providing internet services to Gambians. Aside from that, I spoke about the importance of internet and some of the areas that I think having access to internet will help. And first, we are going to look at the educational sector in the Gambia. We find out that most of our schools don't have access to internet. I will take it from personal experience. As a child going to school in the Gambia, I never had access to computers or laptops whatsoever until I think I got to junior school, 9th year in school in the Gambia, which I think is not very, very helpful, because access to internet will facilitate easy education for teachers, and also even for students, and also for teachers and researchers. Having access to internet will help you able to do so many things on the net, because you find out that the internet itself is a school of its own. There is a vast amount of information out there, and I think as a student, you having access to the internet will help you in your studies, and for researchers as well. But aside from education itself, let's also look at e-commerce. In this 21st century, most of the businesses are going online, and you find out that in the Gambia and most countries in Africa, access to internet is a problem, and then this affects small and large-scale businesses, because customers would want to sit at the comfort of their home, or in their offices, get access to products and services, like it happens in the developed countries. Here in the US or in Europe, you can sit anywhere and then just place an order on Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, whatever. We need services like that in the Gambia, and I think you as a potential investor, if you invest in providing internet services in the Gambia, first you will help the economy, in the transformation of the economy, but also you will make, you will maximize profit, because people should have access to these basic services. Aside from e-commerce, we can look at e-government. Most governments around the world, in the developed countries, they are moving away from the traditional ways of doing business. I mean, I can sit at my home, apply for a passport. I can sit at my home, apply for a government job. These are things that we need in the Gambia. For the most part, we are doing business through the traditional methods, and I think those methods are outdated in the 21st century today. And I know the government is doing a great job in trying to transform our government departments, agencies, to have them all e-government based. But there is more that we can do, and I think this is where we need investors to come in. And I am going to take this time and appeal to our Gambians. There are Gambians who are specialists in IT sector. Some of them are working, have worked, or are still working with Microsoft and other big platforms around the world. Please come back home, build something that will help the country to move forward in this information and technology age, because Gambia cannot be lacking behind. And there are so many things that we can do if we harness this internet accessibility. Aside from that also, I mean, in the West here, we have seen telemedicine coming up. We can have the same thing in the Gambia or in Africa, wherein a patient can sit in their home, get diagnosed by their doctor, from two separate places. You can get access to a prescriptions by going online. But those services are not available in the Gambia, and for the most part in many countries in Africa. And also we've seen the emergence of e-banking, which I think the African governments have done a great job. Kudos to you, especially when it comes to SMS banking. I think Africa is leading the world in that. And then Gambia also has been doing a great job in this sector, because myself being a banker, in those days I've seen what banks are doing in the Gambia, and also even the mass media itself, because we cannot have access to the mass media when we don't have access to internet, because internet is very, very important. And today people derive their news information by going to social media platforms or the internet. And this is what makes it very, very important for us to do whatever it takes to make sure that we have a very sound ICT sector in the Gambia. Not only that, but we should make it affordable, accessible to every Gambian, no matter where you live in the country. But what we have seen is people living within the Greater Banjul area, those are the people who have access to internet services. And for the most part, it's even small businesses and well-off people, but majority of the people, even within Greater Banjul areas, don't have access to internet services, which I think, is hampering the development of the country. So as a potential investor, you have a huge role to play in this area. Apart from the internet as being a crucial sector wherein you can invest, I think the other aspect also is conventional media, and here we're going to talk about radio and television services. The Gambia has only 2 television stations, the conventional television stations, I mean cable TV. One of them is operated by the government of the Gambia, and then the other one is privately owned by QTV. But we have seen in the recent past the improvement on online TV. We have a host of other online TV stations in the Gambia operated by Gambians, some of them within the Gambia and then some of them outside. I'm just going to give you an example of a few, and then I apologize if I forget to call any online media platform. That's not my intention, but one of them is the Fatu Network. They're doing a great job. We have Paradise TV, you have Care Fatu, we have iAfrica TV, and then Gambia Talent TV. And all these, online TV platforms are doing a great job. Me being a Gambian, for the most part, I don't get any news whatsoever about the Gambia while living here in the US. But since the emergence of these online platforms, almost every day, I can sit here, watch news about the Gambia and know what is happening in the Gambia, So access to information is very, very important. And also we have a whole bunch of online radio stations, both within and outside the country, but also the conventional radio stations. I'm not very sure. I did my research, but I cannot get the exact number. But I have, I think, over 15 radio stations that are operating in the country at the moment, which I think is very, very important, because access to information is very, very crucial. Citizens who are devoid of information is dangerous for any country or for any democracy, as a matter of fact. So us as Gambians, having access to information through the ICT sector in the areas of internet or the conventional media, I think is something which is very, very important. And you as an investor, you have a huge opportunity to invest in the Gambia in this sector. And if you are out there thinking of where to go and invest, I think Gambia is one of the countries that you should invest in, because we have the ready market, the population is there, and then the need for these services is hugely needed. We definitely need these services in the country. So if you like this video, please share, subscribe, and then give us a thumbs up. And also if you have any suggestions about any potential area that you think you want me to talk about, you can please email me at halatafricashow@gmail.com, and I'll be very happy to get back to you. Thank you very much. Until I come your way, this is Lamarana, Halat Africa Show. Bye.